Sidney Poitier sadly died on January 6, 2022, at age 94. With his passing, we lost one of Hollywood's greatest actors, activists, and icons. Many prominent personalities have spoken out about their admiration for the late actor. Actors from Morgan Freeman to Denzel Washington have been inspired by him and feel they owe much of their success to him. His daughter Sidney has now spoken out about her father's incredible journey from Cat Island to Hollywood. Keep watching. A trailblazer with moral fortitude. On January 11, 2022, actress Sidney Poitier posted a photo of her and her father on Instagram. She discussed how her father paved the way for other actors and how he was a man of great moral fortitude. She further wrote that the world lost so much goodness when her father passed away. She went on to discuss how her father was always known as a decent human being. This is indeed how everyone thinks of Sidney Poitier. He played dignified characters in his films, but his dignity and decency went beyond the screen. In his real life, he had a reputation for being a decent person and great role model. He exemplified a classiness that is sadly lost among most Hollywood stars today. He was the epitome of a gentleman, and his passing is a great loss for the entertainment industry. But how did he become an iconic actor? His background was humble, and he had to overcome many hurdles. Before we tell you more about Sidney Poitier's life and career, be sure to give this video a like and subscribe to Facts First for more. Sidney's early life. Sidney Poitier was born February 20, 1927 in Miami, Florida. Since he was born on American soil, he was granted U.S. citizenship from birth, but he didn't return to the States until many years later. He was born prematurely, and his parents stayed in Miami for 3 months to help take care of him, but they soon left Miami to return to their farm. As a child, he grew up on Cat Island in the Bahamas, still a British crown colony at the time. His parents, Reginald and Evelyn, owned a farm on the island. Today, this small island with just above 1,500 residents is still known as the place where the legendary actor spent his childhood. He was raised in the Arthurstown settlement on the island. His childhood home is a popular attraction for tourists. Sidney experienced rural Caribbean life until age 10, when he and his family moved to Nassau, the capital of the Bahamas. Here he was exposed to the comforts and fascinations of modern life, including motion pictures. When he was 15, his family sent him back to Miami to live with his brother's family who had moved there. However, Sidney only lasted 1 year in Miami. This was the early 40s, known as the Jim Crow period. While it would still be a few decades until the Bahamas received independence from the UK, Sidney had become used to living in a country where he belonged to the majority race and was treated with respect. The racism he witnessed and endured in the Jim Crow South obviously took its toll on him. After only a year, he moved to New York, which didn't have segregationist laws and was a lot more tolerant towards Black Americans than the South. He worked a number of odd jobs, but had decided he wanted to become an actor. Sidney's early career. Sidney struggled to break through in show business. He joined the American Negro Theater in the 1940s, but struggled to impress audiences with his performances. He wasn't a very talented singer, and this was a skill expected of most Black actors and actresses at the time. He also had to spend several months getting rid of his thick Bahamian accent, which American audiences weren't used to. One of his early lead roles was in the stage play Lysistrata, though this sadly only ran for 4 days. Throughout the 40s, he struggled to make a name for himself on stage. In 1950, however, he got his big break and found his true calling. He was cast in Joseph L. Mankiewicz's film No Way Out. He played Dr. Luther Brooks. His role involved treating a bigoted white man named Ray Biddle, played by Richard Widmark. This was a controversial film for its time, and it was brave for Sidney to undertake such a challenging role. The following year, he acted in the British drama Cry the Beloved Country. This film was shot in South Africa, which had implemented racial apartheid laws, even more horrific than the South's Jim Crow laws. As it was illegal for whites and blacks to mix in South Africa at the time, Sidney Poitier and Canada Lee had to pretend they were the indentured servants of director Zoltan Korda. The fact that Sidney was willing to travel to a country governed by racist laws to illegally make a film showed his mission wasn't simply to act. He also wanted to bring dignity to Black talent, and he wanted to fight against racist laws, no matter where they were implemented. The films of Sidney Poitier. Following No Way Out and Cry the Beloved Country, Sidney Poitier had developed a reputation as a Black actor who insisted on playing characters with dignity. He refused to degrade himself by playing the kind, foolish, or unlikable roles that were often offered to black actors at the time. In 1961, he appeared in the romantic drama Paris Blues alongside Paul Newman. He played an American expatriate jazz musician. The film showed how Paris was open and tolerant towards black Americans, while back in the U.S. there was still much hostility and horrific race relations. Sidney clearly wasn't afraid to challenge the prevailing attitudes of the time with his work. In 1965, he was part of an ensemble cast in the Cold War drama The Bedford Incident. This was his first role where his race wasn't an integral part of the story or his character. While that might not seem significant today, it was unusual at the time for a black actor to just play a regular character, without his race having to be a central point of focus. 1967 was one of the most significant years of Sidney Poitier's career. In that year, he returned to the subject of race relations with the romantic comedy film Guess Who's Coming to Dinner. He plays John Prentice, who meets his white fiancé's parents, played by Spencer Tracy and Katharine Hepburn. The film portrayed an interracial relationship in a positive light, which was practically unheard of in the 60s. At the time of production, interracial marriage was still illegal in many states. By the time the film was released, these type of laws had been struck down by the Supreme Court. The same year, Sidney also appeared as Mark Thackeray in the British film To Sir with Love, based on the best-selling novel. This film dealt with race relations in the UK. Once again, Sidney wasn't afraid to tackle a difficult subject. But perhaps the film that made Sidney a household name was the mystery film In the Heat of the Night. In it, Sidney plays Virgil Tibbs, a respected detective from Philadelphia taking on a case in a small town in Mississippi. In this town, he doesn't receive the same respect he's used to in Philadelphia and is often scorned at by the town's white population, including Chief Bill Gillespie, played by Rod Steiger. Nevertheless, he shows incredible composure and demands respect. One of the film's most powerful scenes is when the character Endicott, an elderly white man, slaps Virgil hard in the face. Without hesitation, Virgil immediately slaps him back. This scene wasn't in the original novel, but Sidney Poitier insisted it must happen in the film. The scene was shocking for audiences at the time and remains one of the film's most powerful moments. Actor Lawrence Fishburne once remarked the scene was the slap heard around the world. This incredible film showed that black actors could play tough and commanding characters on screen. When you see actors like Morgan Freeman, Denzel Washington, Samuel L. Jackson, or Lawrence Fishburne play such characters, you should know this wouldn't have been possible without Sidney Poitier. When Denzel Washington won his Academy Award for Training Day, he remarked, "I'll always be chasing you, Sidney. I'll always be following in your footsteps. There's nothing I would rather do, sir." In the 70s, Sidney made 3 remarkable comedies where he co-starred with Bill Cosby. These were Uptown Saturday Night, Let's Do It Again, and A Piece of the Action. They were released at the height of the blaxploitation craze in the U.S. These were fun films that featured an ensemble of talented black actors and actresses. They were among the first major American films to tell stories focused solely on the experiences of black Americans. Sidney also directed these 3 films. He later directed the comedy Stir Crazy, starring Gene Wilder and Richard Pryor. This became his most successful film as a director. His notable acting roles in the 1980s and 90s included the films Shoot to Kill, Sneakers, and The Jackal. He also had a lead role in the miniseries Separate but Equal, which portrayed the landmark Brown v. Board of Education court case, which led to the desegregation of American schools. In 1997, he starred alongside Sir Michael Caine in the TV movie Mandela and de Klerk. In this TV movie, he played Nelson Mandela, and the film focused on the end of apartheid in South Africa. His final acting role was in the 2001 TV movie The Last Brickmaker in America. Sidney Poitier's legacy. Aside from his work in cinema and television, he also served on the board of directors for the Walt Disney Company from 1995 to 2003. He also served as ambassador of the Bahamas to Japan from 1997 to 2007. He won an Academy Award for Best Actor for his role in the 1963 film Lilies of the Field. He later received an honorary Oscar for his life's work in 2001. He also received several BAFTA and Golden Globe nominations and awards. In 1992, he received a Lifetime Achievement Award by the American Film Institute. Tying with Gary Cooper, he has the most representation for an actor in AFI's 100 Most Inspiring Movies of All Time. In 1994, he received a star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame. He was granted the Knight of the Order of the British Empire by the UK royal family for his contribution to the arts in 1974, and he was awarded the Presidential Medal of Freedom by President Obama in 2009. We were all truly lucky to experience Sidney's career. And as his daughter stated recently, his goodness lives on in his wife, his children, his grandchildren, in his movies and books, in every warm embrace he offered an adoring fan, every piece of advice he gave to those he mentored, every tiny bug he gently placed outside. Now it's time to hear from you. What's your favorite Sidney Poitier role? Let us know in the comments section below. And before you go, make sure you give this video a like and subscribe to FactsVerse if you haven't already. Click the bell icon to stay updated on all our latest content.